Well, hello everyone. Here to show you a child's performance coloring right here. As you see right here, is I went ahead and listed about about 4 or 5 subjects, which I'm sure most of us are familiar with. Other than as you say, it's a subject like chemistry or geometry or any type of American history, those type of subjects, and which most subjects I probably don't even have listed. Of course, will be like maybe the college courses or maybe the tech school or any type of training school it is, such as that the subjects I probably don't have listed as like other than it's like that's a typical kind of related to science. Of course, it's like other than chemistry that is like that a few of the subjects is like such as astronomy or anything like that like that which a few of them I probably even haven't even heard of. But anyway, we're talking about his child performance is talking about is that with the subjects that we were taught in school, and then along with that the way that you would like to learn them. And during that time that I was going to school, which this was like an activity book that I went ahead and put together. But then of course you have right here is a picture drawing right here of me, and then they're talking about is what the book is that what I have written on here is so far as today, and then you got the day, month, and then the year, and along with the subject story. But basically, is that with most of the time whenever I was in class, I remember that a lot of times is that with the teachers that the teachers would like give you like say a homework assignment. It is one of those homework assignments could have been is like write a report about maybe the Native American the American Indians, or it could have been that the it's like talking about it's like what was the name of I say of the Pilgrims. It's like they would ask you like a trivia question. It's like some type of question, any type of a work that they would have you do. And I can maybe name a number of them, but you're talking about it's like maybe you try to explain it within about maybe within about 13 minutes, something like that. But other than that, you have right here is the paperwork. And with the paperwork right here is talking about is it one of the things that I like doing, of course, on is like paperwork so far as talking about the other than with history and then along with math or whatever you call it. I would probably say that if maybe that other than we should say is talking about maybe the Declaration of Independence it is. But let's just say that I could go ahead and maybe talk about is like is go ahead and start out with here is planet Earth right here, in which most people probably say that if they want to draw say planet Earth right here, and then you say with the other planets that will be orbiting around the galaxy. It is you have like maybe Pluto, and then you got say Jupiter about right here. It's like got the say the big planet. It's like they have say red planet for Mars or whatever you call it. But go ahead and color that in right here with like with the green, and then you got this say with Pluto, and then you may have like you see here is the sun right here. But if we were to write most of the time whenever I was going to school, that I remember that the teachers a lot of times would want you to write a report about what you think about about what is the answer to this and what is the answer. And a lot of times that of course which most of us have seen my other videos that I have on my page now that I talk mainly about the fact that whenever I was in school, that a lot of times that if anything related to art or anything creative was more likely something I was more interested in. And of course I was really never got into any type of sports. I remember that I got into a little bit of Boy Scouts too, but other than that is talking about is it being creative with what you say with your own imaginary mind it is. But you got right here is you got say planet Earth right here. It's like with Earth and then all the other planets that's orbiting around. See here, go ahead and say go ahead and see you got see Jupiter, I think right here, and then maybe it's like Saturn. Saturn, I think. See here, maybe go ahead and add add Saturn at about right here it is. But anyway, it's like trying to get that marker that works. But anyway, just work more of that. But anyway, you got right here is you got the Saturn right here. I really don't even know what direction Saturn would be, from Earth. It is, I guess, if it would be south, it's say east-west. It's like, it's like how far it is. But anyway, you got right here Saturn. But anything related to, you say is any, with the coloring is like so far with coloring, or paint or something like that. A lot of times it was something that I got into, and I would probably say that. I would probably say that one of the things, of course, that got me into that you say that hobby. Of course, one of them was the fact about is like at the time that whenever you're in school, that maybe you just want to learn what you want to learn. You don't like that a lot of the teachers will be like, well, you got to do it my way. You got to do it by the rules. You got to do it by the rules, or you got to do it by the rules. But other than that, is that you got right here is a square right here, and I really would not even know if this would be like what you call a study of calculus or whatever. But I got ahead and drew, see, is the dot right there. The dot would be like what you call would represent. It's like if it's like for a good starting point, is if you want to add like a square right there, and then maybe add some shapes along with it. Is like you have one. I can't remember the name of the subject, but I remember it in art class. It is that I took something kind of related. But I remember that whenever I was in I think the 5th grade, it was my teacher wanted me to write a report. I think about that the American Indians. I think it was that something related to the American Indians or something like that. But or the Pilgrims or whatever. But I think it was something to do with a mascot or something like that. That something related to draw out what the villages look like. Apparently, that there was like villages back then. Is that in your mind, what do you think that the villages would look like? Back then, back in the early 1700s or whatever you call it. Back nearly 1,000 years ago. And I remember that I would complete that paperwork, and then I turned it in, and apparently that the teacher was not even there, that day whenever I turned it in, and then the substitute teacher would be like, "Oh no, that's nice. This is neat," and then I think 4 days later that she told me she couldn't find it, but but she'll give me, I don't know if she gave me credit for it or not, which I was thinking. That if she didn't, maybe she should have or something. But anyway, that's just the thing. Whenever teachers lose your schoolwork, it's sometimes it's like reason maybe to be mad at them or whatever. But anyway, for child's performance is talking about is that whenever we go to school, it's like we learn how to read and write, and then of course we learn a number of other things too. And one of those things, of course, is reading and writing, and then of course understanding the words. And it's like whenever if you were to go out and get a job one of these days, and those will be like some of the similar things that you would need to learn about. And of course, one of those things, of course, is that if you are going to have say both of your hands available, that what are you good at? Do you know how to operate a power mop or whatever you call it? But other than that, it's talking about puzzle pieces. You have right here, you can maybe use like a puzzle piece as like as an example right here is the puzzle piece. The puzzle piece would pretty much represent is that something that can be created by you, and only say by you. It's like maybe like a login, something to memorize. If it was like a login password or whatever you call it, got like a little spider web type design right there, and then and I'm sure that whenever you get started on something, and you'll more likely you'll have more ideas coming later on. And then of course a lot of people are saying it's all in the matter of cost and money. It's all a matter of practice also. Practice is like for practice makes perfect. But other than that is that you got right here is with the calculator, and with the calculator, if it's all a matter of it's like, well, with the calculator, knowing about how many points you earn for whatever work that you do, is like well, it's like if it's minus 2,000 or 25%, whatever it is, that a lot of times it's like, well, whatever you did, it's like, well, you didn't talk about this or you didn't talk about that. I remember seeing that a lot of times in the schoolwork, that from my grade reports that I gotten, that they'll be talking about the fact about you're missing work or whatever, you didn't do the work right. But then on the other hand too, that you think about is that the thing that take is like is that like a writing utensil. I'll go ahead and use a pencil, but you have right here is if I were to maybe write as like with the sentence like so far as subject story is talking about for detail, that maybe you don't have time to explain the story for maybe why this or why that. But then on the other hand too, that I can maybe think about is that so far as if I were to be talking about it, it's like with detail right here. It's like the kind of car that I drive. Maybe the kind of car I drive, it's like I have a few years later I grow up, and then the car I drive, it's like, do I keep up with the maintenance? And it'd be like this, like, well, I really don't know, because I don't even know exactly how to work this or how to work that. All I knew was to just put the key in the ignition and start it. But other than that, it's like between the car and then along with the computer. And I remember, back then, which I'm sure most of us seen my previous videos, that you've seen that before. That it's like with the computer. A computer was one thing that I always wanted when I was young, but then of course didn't get it until I was older, other than a car. But it's like not really a skateboard or anything like that. But so far as talking about for child's performance, though, is talking about with writing, that the things that you can do with your hand. And a lot of times you probably say that if it's a game of blackjack or whatever you call it, that a lot of times it's like if you were to come up with like a custom design of maybe write a book, or if it's maybe write details, it's like a city that I went ahead and drew right here. What's the name of the city? Don't really know. Is there a city that looks exactly like that one? Don't know. Why? Maybe because it's like you just got to complete. You should say what you call the creative mind. It's like for creativity. It's like that. It's like with the projects and along with the work that you were working on before. Nobody knows the exact story for. It's like for what the name of it was or what does it do or whatever. More likely because it's like, well, you got to work on the education in order to be able to earn it. But other than that, it's like you have right here is for the child's performance. But other than that, you have right here is for the design. What does this, those certain designs it is that you hear on the news a lot of times. It's like so far as talking about with school violence, it is. There may be some students that may think that the school is a waste of time, and then so far as school shootings or whatever you call it, that each time kids, our children, wherever it is, if it's in the country of Israel or if it's here in the United States of America or wherever, that a lot of times we can also think about is that we have something better to do, and of course that something better to do is to know that it's like what we need to study. Is like maybe more likely we would never know exactly what the story is or really about what how this works or how that works, because more likely it's like maybe something failed to where we couldn't learn it. Other than that, is like you have it to where that they use something to be proud of, is that that fact about is that I'm like that type of person, to where that I may not be that type of person who is good at answering asking and answering your own questions. It's like, but so far as mind communication, it's like if you just said, it's like what is money made out of, and then what is a career made out of? Well, a career is more likely that gets feedback from from your own creative mind, and then the fact about it is like is that knowing about is that what is money made out of? Well, money is made by the choices for what you make of it. But other than that, it's like you have right here is for the child's performance coloring.